Before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe this channel. Subject computer aided process synthesis as per the GTU syllabus. I have mm, developed this subject. First chapter is synthesis of the heat exchanger network, in which the lecture number 4 is here, pitch design approach to inventing a network. So uh, uh, what are the pitch design approach to inventing the network? We'll design one heat exchanger network based on the steps given in this pitch design approach. First, let us suppose we wish to design heat exchanger network that uses precisely the minimum utilities computed for it, and that however in this network will temperature driving force that will be less than delta T minimum. So first 7 steps that can be the following. So first step in this, that is select the delta T minimum, means minimum approach temperature for particular problem. Second step is compute the minimum utility used based on this value for delta T minimum. Using the grand composite curve, pick which utilities to use and the amounts. Fourth one is, if the problem has a pinch point in it, so divide the problem into two parts at the pinch. So we'll divide this problem at the pinch at the hot side and one from the cold side. So we'll design the two part separately. Remember that the part above the pinch requires only the hot utilities, and the part below the pinch that will require only the cold utilities. Fifth one is, estimate the number of exchanges for each partition as n minus 1. So wherein the number of streams in that part of the problem, so n is the number of streams available. Sixth one is, inventing the network using all the insights available. All exchanger that exist at the pinch point will have the minimum driving force, that is delta T, at the point, and small driving force for heat transfer implies a large area. Means if delta T is very small, it will require the large heat transfer area. The exchangers near the pitch will tend to be a large. Therefore, the bed design decisions near the pitch point will tend to be a more costly. We should generally make design decision in the vicinity of the pitch first. And last step is, remove the heat cycles if possible. So method for removing the heat cycles that we will discuss in the next lecture, lecture number 5. So first the example is similar that we have taken in the lecture number 3. For the GCC curve and HCC curve, data is same. So for this problem that we have already developed this table for the hot and cold temperature intervals, and its heat cascaded heat also. So from that we will design this type of possible heat exchanger network from the steps available in this method, pinch design approach. So let's discuss this, how to design this network, right?
Pinch design approach to inventing a network. So problem that we have discussed in the lecture number 3, that how to solve this by GCC curve. So the same problem we have taken here, that for SP1 that is given in the book. Example data is here: stream, FCP, TS, TT, heat flow out, and all this data is available. Now what are the steps that we have seen? First is select delta T minimum and compare. Second step is compare the minimum utility use based on this value for delta T minimum. So first we have select the delta T for this problem, that is 10 degrees Celsius. Now second and third is using the grand composite curve, pick which using the here which utilities to use in their amounts. So from the GCC curve we have taken this utility, hot utility 127.7 kilowatt and cold utility 250.1 kilowatt, right? So these are the data. Now we have seen the table in the lecture number 3 that hot side temperature intervals and cold side intervals is like this. So these are the hot side intervals and this is the cold side intervals, right? Now we have drawn this H1, H2, C1, C2 temperature according to the temperature. So first C1 stream, that is having a temperature in the range of 60 to 160, right? So 60 to 160, that we have denoted here 60 to 160, right? Second one is C2, so 116 to 260. So this is 116 to 260 that we have denoted. H1 stream is 160 to 93. So this is H1 93 and 160. And H2 stream is 249 to 138, right? So this is the stream denotation. Now fourth step is if the problem has a pinch point in it, which will occur if step to discover the need for both heating and cooling. Divide the problem into two parts at the pitch. We shall design the two parts separately. Remember that the part above the pitch requires only hot utilities and the part below the cold utilities. So we have divided this problem into two parts by the pitch point. So this is the pitch temperature 249 and 239, hot side 249 and cold side 239, that we have already discussed in the lecture number 3 how to find the pinch point in this problem, right? So you can refer from this and for fifth one is estimate the number of exchange for each partition as n minus 1 when n is the number of streams in that part of the problem. Here total 4 streams are there. So n is our number of streams, n minus 1. So what we will do, total number of streams is 4. So 4 minus 1 means total number of heat exchanger required are 3. So let us design this and find out how many number of exchangers is present here by designing this. So first we'll start with the hot utility. So first we'll start with the hot utility. So we will start with the hot utility, that is 127.7. So that we will provide to the C2 stream to heat the C2 stream and heat exchange between the hot utility and C2, because there is no hot stream available in 27 to 260 range. We will provide the hot utility, right? Now next, C2 required how much amount of heat, that is all given in the data, that is 875.5. So we will minus that 127.7 and which will give you the answer 747.8. So we will transfer the H2 stream heat to the C2, right? So we'll transfer how much amount of heat, that is at the temperature interval in between 239 to minus 160, that is your delta T. In between temperature interval 239 to 160, how much amount of heat we will transfer, that is multiplied by its FCP, that will give you the amount of heat transfer in this temperature interval range. So in this range we will transfer 480 0.3 kilowatt heat to the H2 to C2, right? So to find out the heat amount, we have done this procedure. Now to find out the temperature at 480.3, what we will do? For the hot side means for H2, what we will do? 480.3 divided by its MCP minus 249, that will give you the temperature 203.5. So at this H2, the temperature is 203.5. And similarly for the C2, we will find out the temperature 480.3, and then divided by its MCP, that is FCP, that is 6.08 minus the temperature is at the C2, the temperature is 239, which will give you the temperature 160, right? So this is how you can find out the temperature at which heat transfer. Now secondly, we will see the how much amount of heat is required till to the C2 stream. So we will minus this 875.5 minus 127.7 minus 480.3. That will give you the answer 267.5. Means it requires 267.5 kilowatt. Still, so we'll transfer this amount of heat to by second heat exchanger by the H2. And how to find out the temperature, that is again this amount of heat is required. So how will find out the temperature? For the second step, we'll find out the temperature at the hot side 267.5 divided by 10.55 minus 187.1. That will give you the 161.7. Means here the temperature is 161.7 degrees Celsius. This is the temperature. That's and this is the heat, right? Kilowatt. And for the cold side means for C2, 267.5 divided by 6.08 minus 150. So that will give you the answer of the your temperature, right? So similarly, we will do the next calculation for H2. Now H2 is giving energy to the C2. So how much is remaining now? We can see that H2 is having a now energy. Now H2 having a heat is having a 117.1 amount of heat that is given in the data, right? So minus 480.3 minus 267.5 and minus will provide the H2 to the cold utility, so 250. So it will give you the answer 173.1. So this is the amount of heat is present in the H2. So that we will transfer to the C1 stream. So this is your third heat exchanger. One, this is second, and this is third. So this is third heat exchanger where we'll transfer the total 173.1 and C1 which is required total 762 heat flow. So what we will do, we will minus this 762 minus 173.1 that will transfer from H2 to C1, so it will give you the answer 588.9. So this is the amount of heat still required by the C1. So what we will do, we will first calculate the 173.1 temperature by this way. So to calculate this temperature for 173.1, the cold side 173.1 divided by 7.62, that is the FCP of the cold stream, minus its temperature at the C1, that is 160. So that will give you the answer, the 137.3. And similarly for the hot side, 173.1 divided by 10.55 minus 203.5, that will give you the answer 187.5, right? So this is the answer. Now we will do for the C1, that is required 588.9 more. So we will transfer this 588.9 from the H1 stream. So which is having a total heat 588.9. So we will transfer this 588.9 from the H1 stream directly, right? So we will not split any ranges in the H1 stream. This is how we can develop this network, and we can calculate this temperature by this.
So we have seen how to develop the possible heat exchanger network from the given step. So what we will do, the last we have already discussed the total 6 steps, but the last step, 7th step, is remove the possible cycles, heat remove cycle. So how we will remove those cycles? So here the picture shows the heat removed cycles heat exchange network, but for that we need to know the stream splitting. Means we will split the streams, means it's FCP. So how to split the streams, that we will discuss in the another lecture. For that you need to know the another method, that is stream splitting. So that we will discuss in the another lecture, right? So after that, by knowing this method, we can develop this network. So reference I've used is only the Bigler book, that is Systematic Methods of Chemical Process Design. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to this channel, Illimitable Chemical Engineering, for the more CAPS videos.